have a super fun project that I am calling a mini explosion purse. This is not a new project. I've put my own twist on it with the colors and things that I've used, and I wanted to walk you through how to make this. This is made with a 6-inch by 6-inch piece of paper, and I have adhered this. This closure is a magnet, but look how cool this is. It's an explosion box, and then I've put a little sentiment on the inside that says, "I couldn't have picked a better friend than you." Super sweet little way to brighten someone's day, and certainly something that they'll hold on to for a while. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I will keep my eye out for any questions that come through, and I'll address them as needed. And if any questions come through that I miss, I will be sure to look through the questions after the live broadcast. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Put this up here to the side so you can see what we're making. We're going to start with a piece of designer series paper that measures 6 inches by 6 inches. And we're going to score this a couple of times. We do have a question from Robbie. She's asking what size magnet and where to purchase. So I ordered my magnets at the recommendation of Sam Donald, otherwise known as Poodles. She orders her magnets from eBay from a company called Spider Magnets. And I have to remember what size. Robbie, I'm going to have to look that up and share that on this broadcast. But I got like 250 of them for, I think it was like $30, and they shipped super fast. They are not in the US. I believe they are based over in the UK. And I'll just show you, I have a whole stack of them in my drawer here. Again, I ordered 250 of them, but they're little teeny tiny. 1 millimeter is their thickness, and I want to say that they are 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, about 1/4 of an. I think it's 1 centimeter by 1 millimeter if we're talking metric. Anyways, super cool magnets. They're great for these projects. You can also use a Velcro dot. So those I ordered from Amazon. Anyways, okay, so let's get started. This is the Delightful Daisy Designer Series paper. Beautiful double-sided paper here. I love this pattern. It was difficult for me to cut into it because it's so beautiful, but I just think it looks stunning on this little purse. So we're going to be doing some scoring first and foremost, and my favorite tool for scoring is the Simply Scored. We're actually going to use a combination of the Simply Scored and the Stampin' Trimmer. But the quick and easy score lines, the straightforward ones, we're going to score at 2 inches and 4 inches. And then I'm going to rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise, either way. And then 2 inches and 4 inches. Now, you're probably not going to be able to see these grid lines on the paper. I will show you a template that will give you a better idea of what we're doing. So anyways, 2 inches and 4 inches. While we're here, I'm also going to make little tiny tick marks at the 3-inch mark. And I'm only doing that at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that 180 degrees and make a tick mark here. I'm just making a little indent because we're going to be doing some diagonal score lines, and I need that little mark to make those score lines. I do want to let you know, so that you're not scrambling to find a pen and paper, I will have all of these dimensions and score line measurements on my blog post. This project will be posting tomorrow morning, so you can get all those details on that post in the morning, and that post will be at thepaperpixie.com. Okay, so now the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a couple of diagonal score lines, and you may notice that I have this black Sharpie marker line. I do this to my Simply Scored to kind of help me with some diagonal lines, and I've done that Sharpie marker at the 6-inch mark. It just really helps me figure out from top to bottom. I can make sure that I'm lining up, and I'm going to cover up I want to make sure you guys can see the top and bottom here. That just allows me to make sure that I'm doing a straight diagonal line all the way down, so I know where that 6-inch mark is. Now, if you remember, we did a little grid here. We essentially divided this into thirds. So I'm going to score diagonally from the corner to that first intersection of score lines. Basically, we're leaving that middle square in the grid alone. We are not doing a score line there. So I'm going to do that here, this corner to this intersection, and then carrying it down this intersection to this corner. Excuse me. I mentioned before earlier, I've got a little bit of a cold and a cough, so I apologize for the coughs. I'm going to do the same thing from this corner to the first intersection. I hope you guys can see that okay. And then from the bottom intersection, bottom intersection to the corner. All right, I know that's going to be difficult for you to see on here, but we've got this diagonal score line here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put the Simply Scored away for a minute. Now, the next thing we are going to do is where we made those little tick marks, and here I'm going to bring in the template to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. I know that this looks crazy, but we did our 2-inch and 4-inch score lines on both sides of the paper. We've done our quarter score lines, and now we're going to go in and do these diagonal lines here. So that's where we put the tick marks. Okay, ask any questions if you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat and a metal ruler. Metal works the best. Plastic will work fine as well. But I'm going to bring in my stylus from the Simply Scored, and I am connecting this intersection here of score lines to that little tick mark. Okay, so we're doing this diagonal line here. We're going to kind of make that little triangle set of score lines there. So again, the intersection to that little tick mark we made. And bringing the template because it'll be easier to see, we just made this set of score lines. Okay? Oops, as I throw my stylus. I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. So putting my stylus at that intersection, and putting my ruler where I need it. It is not critical that you use the Stampin' Pierce mat, but I find that it does help me get a pretty good impression when I do the scoring. All right, we're done with the metal ruler. So again, we just did this set of diagonal score lines, and we're only doing it on the sides here. Essentially what we're doing is putting in these really cool score lines so that the purse folds in here. It allows us to give us that little pinch at the top of the purse. I did forget to mention the size of, thanks, Pamela does have a question which website the directions will be. They'll be on thepaperpixie.com, Pamela, and that will be on my blog post tomorrow morning. That will post as of 5 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. So again, thepaperpixie.com. So the size of this purse is 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches. It's a really sweet size. All right, so now what we're going to do, and you can do this with a pair of scissors as well. I'm actually going to use the Stampin' Trimmer, but we're going to cut off these little corners, these triangles. And we're basically cutting from score line to score line to get rid of those outside triangles. So let me grab my Stampin' Trimmer. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up those score lines in the grooves of the cutting track here. And I know this is going to be impossible for you to see. It's actually pretty hard for me to see too. Move this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Again, you can use your scissors if you can line it up right, or just use your Stampin' Trimmer. Sometimes my hands aren't always so steady to get those lines cut straight. You can certainly save those pieces for another project. Oh yeah, see, I'm having a hard time seeing my score lines. That's one of the drawbacks with this beautiful paper is sometimes you can't see your score lines. All right, so we do have those pretty pieces of paper. Might be something you can do something with. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and fold and burnish on all the score lines. I'm going to use my bone folder. And folding and burnishing just means folding on those score lines and making them really sharp by pressing on them. You don't have to use a bone folder. That's just my tool of choice. I apologize if you can hear my sweet little doggies in the background. They're having fun playing together. I have a chocolate lab and a golden retriever, and they're having fun wrestling in the background. All right, so now those diagonal score lines, I'm just going to fold back on themselves. This is going to help. This is really what's going to help create the explosion part of the purse. All right, so I'm doing the score lines that are on the outside. Let me bring that template in. I'm doing these score lines here that are on the outside corners. And just reinforcing those folds with the bone folder. Since you have the paper scored, it's going to be very easy to fold those. And then we're going to do the other diagonal lines that are on the sides, little side gussets that we're creating. All right, so that's essentially the explosion part of the box. And now we'll fold this so you can kind of picture what we just did. So it's going to look like this. All right, very, very cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to do the closure of the box, I am going to punch a 2-inch circle from a piece of Calypso Coral cardstock. We're going to put a couple score lines on there. Now I find that these score lines are easier to put on the circle using the Simply Scored because I'm able to push that circle up to the edges here so it won't shift around. You can do this on the Stampin' Trimmer, but you just run the risk of the circle kind of shifting out of place. So we're going to score it 7/8 of an inch and 1 1/8. And that's just going to give us a narrow 1/4 inch strip right in the center of that circle. Okay, so now I'm just going to fold and burnish on those score lines. Okay, so you see how that's going to give us that little 1/4 inch top to sit. And the reason why I did this 1/4 inch is actually to put that little teeny tiny handle on the top. Super sweet. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, it doesn't really matter because this paper is beautiful everywhere, but I think I like this side for the front. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere this to the back, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick to do that. I'm just going to flip this down. This is going to be our back panel. I'm actually going to fold this back on itself to put the glue. I'm using our liquid multi-purpose glue. Gives us an opportunity to shift things around a little bit before it adheres. And that side, I'm actually just going to line up right there with the top edge of that paper. Okay? Just helps me line it up right where I need it when I folded it backwards. All right, so now that's adhered. And again, just to show you, it's starting to come together. That's going to end up folding down that way, and we're going to do a magnetic closure. Now for the little handle, I cut a 3-inch by 1/4 inch strip, and I'm going to put a couple of score lines here. And these I'm just going to put little 1/4 inch score lines. So it's 3 inches. I'm just going to put a little score line here at 2 3/4. And I'm going to flip it around because it's easier for me to score here on the right side. But again, 2 3/4. I'm just putting little 1/4 inch sections here on either side, and that's going to help us adhere the little handle to the top of the purse. All right, I'm just going to fold those back at the score lines, and then using my bone folder, I'm going to curl this paper just ever so slightly to give us a little curve in the handle. Now using the liquid glue, I'm going to go ahead and put a little dot of glue on that little tab we created. And this helps too to kind of lay this flat. And we're gluing this right in that little 1/4 inch strip that we made with the score lines. I'm pushing that all the way to the edge, so you can see that here. Pamela has a question if the template will be on the website with the directions tomorrow. Absolutely. I'll take a picture of that for you, Pamela, and include that on the post. All right, so I'm just gluing that there, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And then just hold that in place for a few seconds for it to adhere. I love this multi-purpose glue. It's my glue of choice because it's forgiving. You can slide things around. You have a couple seconds to slide things around, and you're going to think I'm weird, but it smells good. Some of you on the live broadcast might know what I'm talking about. For some reason, it has like this sweet smell. Not to say I huff glue or anything, but it does have some sweet smell about it. It's funny. All right, so we've got our little handles adhered. Okay. And now we are going to, I think what I'm going to do next is make the little sentiment on the inside since we've got this open. So I'm using this awesome new stamp set called Beautiful Bouquet. Some of the most beautiful sentiments and fonts that I've seen in a stamp set in a really long time, and a beautiful set of flower pieces to create gorgeous bouquets. This does come with a coordinating die set, and if you buy the 2 of them together, you can get them at a bundled price, which is 10% off. But we're going to use the stamp I couldn't have picked a better friend than you. I thought that was just so sweet. So we're going to use the coordinating color of Calypso Coral. Just going to go ahead and make sure I'm stamping that the right direction. All right. And then we're going to punch that out with the 1.5 inch circle punch. I love circle punches, in case you can't tell, because it's so easy to make multiples of things with these punches and to punch out sentiments. So these are kind of a workhorse in my set of craft supplies. I have all the different circle punches that we have. Just makes it so easy to stamp and punch out the sentiment. Now we're going to put a little Tranquil Tide layer behind that, and this is the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. Robbie's laughing at me. Robbie's a retired teacher. She's laughing about me huffing the glue. Okay, I don't really huff the glue, but it smells good, I promise. Whenever you purchase this glue, you have to check it out, and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm just adhering that with multi-purpose glue. Wow, my doggies are having a good old time out there. Sorry if you can hear them. They're wrestling, having a good old time. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and glue this to the inside of the purse. It sounds like a pack of wolves out there. Oh, so much fun when you have a live broadcast. There's always something that happens, right? All right, so we just glued that down on the inside. Now the next thing we're going to do is get our closure ready to go. Now these are like rare earth magnets, so they're super, super strong. So I decided that I'm going to put one on the inside of this paper and then one on the outside. Let me show you what that looks like on this one. So we've got one magnet here and then one on the inside, and that just kind of lightens the attraction there, so it's not as strong of an attraction, and that just makes sure that those are going to stay put for a good long time. So all we need to do is adhere those with glue dots. So I'm going to pull these apart. All right, and then I'm going to grab a glue dot, and I love the paper piercing tool to pick up these glue dots. Just going to go ahead and pick up that magnet, and I'm putting it down about, I don't know, 1/4 inch down from the edge there and pressing that into place. Now the trick with these is I'm just going to take my other magnet and just make sure that we've got the right, do you see how it just stuck there like that? The right positive and negative going the right way. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick up another glue dot and stick that to this magnet, because this magnet we want to stick to our little Calypso Coral flap. So carefully I'm going to close up the explosion box and get this right where I want it before I press down and pick up that magnet. There we go. I should be able to pull it apart pretty easily, and then I'm just going to press again to make sure that that's adhered. Now if you wanted to, you could punch some cardstock to cover these up. I don't think they're that ugly, so I'm just going to leave them as they are. But the next thing we're going to do is adhere one of our metal rimmed pearls. This is the largest size. I actually don't have very many of these left, so I can't show you what the rest of them look like, but there's 3 different sizes, large, medium, and small. This is the large, and this is what I thought I would put on the front so that the recipient knows, excuse me, the recipient knows which side to open the purse from. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull off the backing. It's got adhesive on it already, which is fabulous. I'm just going to pick that up with my paper piercer. And this is metal, excuse me, so it is going to stick to that magnet, which is a good thing. But I'm going to go ahead and put that right there and then press it down. How cute is that? I love it. Okay, so now we're going to put our little Ferrero Rocher in there. Obviously, you don't have to put a Ferrero Rocher, but who doesn't love a Ferrero Rocher? So this fits perfectly in there. And, you know, this would also be a cute little purse to put other types of chocolate, obviously, or maybe a little gift like jewelry, or I don't know. It would hold quite a few things with the way that we've set up the gussets. It fits a pretty good sized thing on the inside. So there we go. That is our little mini explosion purse. Again, this takes a 6 by 6 inch piece of paper, so you can get 4 of these out of one piece of 12 by 12 designer series paper. And I just thought this was so sweet. I can see making this in a bunch of different colorways. Here's what I love about these tutorials is you can take these and make them your own using whatever paper you have in your stock. So go have fun making these. I would love to see your projects. If you have somewhere that you can post your projects, go ahead and post it on social media. Excuse me. And put the hashtag #PaperPixie on there. I'll keep my eye out for those projects. And again, I will have this blog post will go live tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Eastern time at thepaperpixie.com. There will be pictures. I will also include a picture of the template that I showed. And then I'll have more details on the dimensions and the score lines and all the things that you would need to create this project yourself. I will also post this live video for you to review again when you make your project. I'd love to have you visit me at thepaperpixie.com. I post Monday through Friday projects to inspire you. And if you want to order any of the products that you saw in today's live broadcast, you can also find my online store at thepaperpixie.com. As always, let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback. And thank you so much for joining my live broadcast. Y'all take care. Have a blessed day. Bye.